Oh, where you watch? Look where you watch. Know where you watch. Choose the right thing to watch. And this enough to watch. Sticky, stucky, sweet TV with Keith Gag on Facebook and YouTube. And that enough to watch. The movie star fly take off from Palpatine TV, so that. Boom!
A big sound, a big tune.
Ja holy Emmanuel I, boy. Ja Gideon, I'm a Gideon. The Gideon, I'm a Gideon. The Gideon, I'm a Gideon, well. Gideon go busting out them head again. So much oppression poor people face right now. Them crying out for freedom. Them crying out for free speech. Then said them want to stand up like them black liberators, like Malcolm X and Martin Luther and the ancient monarchy where come pave the way, sir. Free up black people from me tear down them fence, yeah. Gideon, I'm a Gideon. The Gideon, I'm a Gideon. The Gideon, I'm a Gideon, well, the Gideon go busting out them head. I listen, I the power of the Trinity. Give us the teaching of His Majesty, and we know war, not every...
Blow, Mr. Gargan, blow. Blow till me dance up me toe.
A corrupt government cannot liberate the people. If the head of the stream is corrupt, the entire river will be also. I do not support corruption. Corruption takes money away from children's education. It deprives hospitals of basic necessities. It means that roads are not fixed. Corruption deepens inequality. It siphons off taxpayers' money to make a few cronies richer with the political connections instead of benefiting the people. This government has been doing everything it can to weaken and undermine the Integrity Commission, which is an institution that I designed as Minister of Justice and brought the legislation to Parliament to fight corruption in this country. I have said it before and I will tell you again. Jamaica cannot move forward without a government built on integrity that embraces principles of good governance in this country.
Free. to hear all kinds of propaganda. You're going to hear all kinds of lies and deception. There will be tactics used to try and buy you out. There will be tactics used to try and frighten you away. And I only have to say one thing to you tonight, comrades. We are blood and fire comrades, and we're marching on to progress. And we will stand firm. We will not be bought because we are not for sale.
Up and running, up and gunning. Keep gargan, cassava, passava, mind over matter, up and running. Can I get later ready so quick, but it's better to be late than never. I'm kind of tired still, you know. But because I come from south last night, well, this morning, I'm in the east, you know, so might as well me have so much rascal video for really preview and come across, but it's like, yeah, see one of me like, and me skip one as well, I'm just come and say me go do that one, yeah.
very interested. Because I see Isaac Buchanan, rubout delroy chuck. Yeah, man, rub him out bad. Sit down there, skid up in big grass clad pace. But him knows him get rubbed out bad. Right? But him a justice minister. And I talk about no human rights issue in Jamaica. This nasty little blood clot. Oh, you know people are, because it now reach them, you know, poor people are suffer and I suffer from human get all kind of blood clot violation with them rights by police and every blood clot body. And what talk about no and America and the United Nations talk out and him. I don't know them blood clot people really in control this government. And the whole of them are some scumbag, you know. Him is a justice minister. And there's no human rights issue in Jamaica. All this now since his brother, him do everything. But anyway, no long talking. Isaac Buchanan rub him out. And quote him father's song, Big Youth, Chucky no lucky. So delroy Chucky no lucky, you know. So that alone, he would have shit in him on the pants. Because I'm laughing, but you can't know. So well then, the man I rub him out diplomatically, you know. And all of my blood clot, no shouting. And I'm not sure I'm sure it's still, you know, you see, when PNP have the 14, you know, there was a different thing, you know, but the 28 is more effective now. Although them still, to me, fear fire more. But anyway, we leave that right there. So anyway, we hear where Isaac kids. Because in an NND, that one are good, that one are nice. We love it. We love it to the bone. Here goes. No delay. We get some look at humor as well, you know.
Member from Portland Eastern.
That's the wrong photo. It's the wrong photo. It's the wrong one. It's the wrong photo.
Member from Portland Eastern, you're saying that's the wrong photograph?
It's fine.
Okay.
It's fine, Madam Speaker. I can proceed without it.
And them deliberate to do that, you know. The man select a photo for show in a rascal, you know, speech about Portland or something, and give them to play, and them saying I can't find it because we saw them petty these blood clot people, this labor wrong, you know. Yo, I tell you, man.
Madam Speaker, permit me to speak from a seat. That is not my own.
Permission granted.
Madam Speaker, before you start the clock, my father, Mandy Augustus, Big Youth, Buchanan, OD, is here. A man that gave up, he never gave up on his son. My intention today is to make him proud. It took great negotiation skills to get him here, for he's a friend of your husband. But his presence is proof he never wasted his law school money. And my legal team, Alexandra, Iqbal, and John Clark, we did it. Big Youth is here. Permit me to thank the people of Portland Eastern, my extended family, for a resounding victory and giving me the mandate and honor of representing them.
In the gallery, no noise in
and
the gallery.
And if I don't say Miss Monica, Miss Vivian, Miss Cherry, and Angie, I will have no redress. For surely the Port Antonio police will not take my report against them individually or collectively, for they too are afraid of them. The crime, Madam Speaker, is unconditional love.
Again, no clapping in the gallery.
It doesn't stop there. Madam Speaker, proof that family, wherever they are, is the foundation of any individual. Miss Barbara and Cass are reflections of my mother, the Reverend Dr. Joan Porteous. They have made my transition to East Portland a rite of passage, and I thank them. I thank my team and recognize councillors Wayne McKenzie and Dexter Rowland as we celebrate 40 unbroken years of holding Port Antonio and Prospect Division. The students of Titchfield High who are in the gallery, I recognize you. One Titch. And Madam Speaker, you might not know it, but I won Mr. Law many years ago, and Mr. Titchfield is here. He intends to be a member of Parliament one day. I recognize him. I thank my leader, the leader of opposition, the Honorable Mark Golding, for he represents access, opportunity, and vision for the youth of this country to become the best versions of themselves. Together with my colleagues in the Shadow Cabinet, for the confidence reposed in me. Dr. Fenton Ferguson, my mentor and advisor, who is here today, may I acknowledge him. I also acknowledge the public servants in the Ministry of Education, Skills, Youth and Information, in the Ministry of Justice with responsibility for constitutional affairs, and the many teachers, guidance counselors, deans of discipline, social workers, child care officers and youth workers who hold the line every single day, often without thanks and frequently without the tools to do the job. I will take the time to thank Mr. Dayton Campbell, who has ditched the doctor title for big man ball game. Colleagues, knock the desk for him. For he has found a wife, and that is good. Madam Speaker, this is not a pitch to regain my time, which I would have lost, or if I lose it from disorder in the House. But I thank you for representing images of black excellence and invite you to protect me from my colleagues on the other side who may forget that the basic human decency is owed to me, and they ought to simply listen to the wealth of knowledge and information I intend to share, as they may miss the context. Should they misbehave and cause you to intervene, as you are the umpire of fairness in this honorable House. Authority for my request is grounded in Standing Orders 40A and B. And I also seek your permission to speak the Jamaican language as it may flow naturally as I embark on a topic that I am passionate about.
Same.
And finally, Madam Speaker...
Hold on. Thank you for that. If you are asking that a motion be moved, I so do move to allow the member to speak in a local dialect from time to time in his presentation. Those in favor? Those against? The ayes have it. Have you ensured that you have not robbed him of any time? Okay.
Please give me back my 2 minutes. And finally, Madam Speaker, before I officially begin, I have only one complaint to make against the Honourable Prime Minister today. He simply cannot be going around identifying himself as a German fan, after I have invited members of the House, including the Leader of Opposition, to do the right thing and be a wagonist while he still can. He is representing Brazil. That's his team. But we are asking him to be a wagonist. So please, he's not here today. But I don't know which standing orders that is, but permit me, protect me. Thank you. And lastly, we are guided by a noted gospel artist. Be guided by a noted gospel artist in your ruling today. Jesus is the only king for life. We are explode like dynamite. Thank you. Madam Speaker, context matters. The government has presented its record. It is the duty of Her Majesty's, forgive me, His Majesty's loyal opposition, not merely to applaud the announcements, but to ask the harder questions behind the launches, the ribbon cuttings, the impressive sounding totals. Are children safer? Are they learning? Are they working? Are they being prepared to be a citizen of a free and sovereign republic? On the evidence, much of it the government's own, the answer is not yet and not nearly fast enough. I make this contribution in the spirit of opposition that this House should aspire to. Not opposition for its own sake, but opposition that holds government to account, offers a credible alternative, and stands ready to partner where the national interest demands. It's nowhere is that readiness more important than on the road to republic, to which I will come to. Madam Speaker, there is a gap between the announcement and the child. The government speaks of transformation, but transformation is not measured in press conferences, it is not measured in the life, it is measured in the life of a child. And by that measure, too many of our children are being left behind in plain sight. I'll use the government's own figures because they are the most damning witnesses of all. Violence in our schools. The government-owned critical incident reports recorded 55 critical incidents in our schools across a single reporting year. Gang violence, stabbings, robberies, and attempted abduction and sexual assault. By the government's own arithmetic, with 190 school days in the year, that is a critical incident in our education system roughly every 3.5 school days. The minister called it, and I quote her, utter madness. Madam Speaker, I agree, but naming the madness is not the same as ending it. We are told school resource officers no longer operate physically from our schools, and we are told of frameworks, of behavior support teams, of restorative practice memoranda. These are not worthless, but a framework is not a presence, and a memorandum has never stopped a knife. The opposition asks simple questions as parents ask. When my child walks through that gate, who is responsible for her safety, and are they actually there? Violence in our schools is the overflow of violence in our communities and in too many of our homes. The opposition accepts the minister's point that this is a shared national responsibility, but sharing responsibility cannot become a way of escaping it. The state has levers no household has. Properly staffed guidance and dean of discipline establishments in every school that needs them, functioning monitored CCTV, not a tender perpetually about to go out, and a justice and social protection system that intervenes early before the funeral and not after. A child protection emergency. Madam Speaker, let this House sit with one number. In a single year, the Child Protection and Family Service Agency received over 13,500 reports concerning our children. More than 6,300 of them distress calls to the 211 hotline. Behind the categories sexual abuse, physical abuse, neglect, emotional abuse, child trafficking are real Jamaican children. The minister said she wanted Jamaicans to be appalled by the number. Madam Speaker, we are. The question is what the state, or what will the state do with this appallment? Yes, the 211 line exists, and it should be commended and publicized. Yes, therapeutic centers have been opened at Maxfield Park and Windsor, and a sensory room at Muirton Boys Home. But a handful of centers serving a few hundred children cannot be the national answer to 13,000 cries for help. The opposition wants to know how many of those 13,531 reports were investigated to conclusion, how many children were actually removed from danger, how long is the wait for a child protection investigator, a clinical social worker, or a place of safety. The dignity of a child is not honored by the building we open, it is honored by whether the child is in fact protected. The government's own indicators tell a story about literacy at the grade 4 levels, and it stands at 68%, numeracy at 64%. At the secondary level, the pass rate in CSEC mathematics is reported at 41.6%. Madam Speaker, that means roughly 1 in 3 of our children cannot read with confidence at grade 4, and well over half are leaving the secondary system without a pass in the single subject most tied to employment and to the STEM's future. This government says it wants. So we cannot declare ourselves a STEM island while the foundation is this fragile. This is where youth policy and constitutional principle meet. The opposition has long argued and has been prepared to argue in the courts that access to publicly funded early childhood education is not a luxury but rationed, but a foundation to be guaranteed. 80% of our early childhood institutions are privately run. The brain is built before age 5. If we are serious about literacy at grade 4, we must be serious about the 3-year-old today. The opposition will press
for a clear funded pathway to train teachers in every early childhood institution, not as an aspiration over the period of the transformation, but on a timetable this House can hold the government to. The unattached and the unemployed. Madam Speaker, the government celebrates a low national unemployment rate, but the headline hides the young person. Youth unemployment remains roughly 3 times the national rate, and the figure does not capture our gravest problem. The unattached young people, those not in education, employment, or training, who drift between the corner and the gang. 9 youth innovation centers is a start, but the government's own stated aim is 1 per parish, and that promise is not yet kept. A recording studio in 1 parish is welcome, but it is not a national youth employment strategy. The opposition test is simple. Does the young man in Manchonil, the young woman in Granville, have a real reachable route from where they are to a job, a skill, or a business of their own? This requires that heart trust training match to where the jobs actually are. It requires entrepreneurship, support that reaches the unattached, not only the already ambitious. And it requires us to stop treating youth crime purely as a policing problem when it is at its root an opportunity problem. We must recognize that the government reports that 275 special needs students benefited from shadow, special education assistance support, and that 230 new shadows were trained. Madam Speaker, set those numbers against the need, and they are plainly inadequate. Parents of children with disabilities have been left to plead publicly for support that should be a right. The promised diagnostic center at Case has slipped repeatedly. Every Jamaican child is entitled to be seen, assessed, and taught. The opposition will keep the government to the timeline, that diagnostic center, and on a proper national establishment of special education assistance. We will also monitor the child in state care and the process of leaving to ensure that they don't vanish from state view the day they turn 18. The opposition's alternative. So that we are not accused of criticism without construction, the opposition commits to advancing the following: to supporting the government where it moves in the direction. 1, safety first, a guidance counselor and dean of discipline establishment matched to enrollment in every school that needs it, and a real monitored timeline for school CCTV. Protection that works, publication of how many child abuse reports are investigated to conclusion, and a funded plan to clear the backlog of children awaiting placement and clinical care. Foundations, a dated fund path to a trained teacher in every childhood institution. Opportunity, a youth employment and unattached youth strategy with a youth innovation center in every parish, and skills training matched to actual labor market demand. Mr. Speaker, the social space presents opportunity for the youth to monetize time, effort, and self-employment. My guest, who has found a space on TikTok, Miss June Rosalie Dixon, is evidence of industry. In Portland Eastern, we have launched the Digital Economy Education Program, DEEP, overseen by our very own Ainsworth Edmond. For anyone who has criticized my presence on social media, I say my leader has assigned me to uplift the youth of the nation and meet them at every level in every space. This program addresses the importance of social media and becoming content creators rather than consumers in the space. I invite my colleagues to replicate the initiative if they are so minded. Inclusion means a proper national establishment of special education assistance and delivery of the long-promised diagnostic center. Aftercare, it means that a guarantee that no young person exits state care into homelessness, with transparent annual reporting on their housing and unemployment outcomes. I turn to constitutional affairs, the road to republic and the road not yet taken. Madam Speaker, let me begin with agreement, because on this subject, agreement is not weakness. It is the only currency that can actually change the Constitution. The opposition supports Jamaica becoming a republic. We support removing the British monarch as our head of state and replacing the King of Jamaica with a Jamaican of no divided loyalties. On the principle of patriating our highest law, of enacting for the first time a constitution by us, for us, and made for us. There is no quarrel between the sides of this House. And our agreement is not abstract. The government's own record shows that the Constitutional Reform Committee reached consensus on the two foundational questions. That is the abolition of monarchy and the repatriation of our Constitution. And the term, we have adopted the term Jamaicanizing, first raised in the 1995 report of the Joint Select Committee on Constitutional and Electoral Reform, to describe a supreme law passed by our own parliament and approved by our own people, rather than left as a schedule to a British order in council. The opposition named its members to that committee, and they sat in good faith and in detail from the very first meeting. So let no one in this House suggest that the opposition came late or grudgingly to the table of the Republic. Where the government has stumbled, though, the quarrel is about how and about how much. The government chose a phased approach that would remove the king but leave us in the same breath. Still traveling to London, to the Judicial Committee of the Privy Council for final justice. I'm not sure if the Minister of Justice appeared before the King's Council before, and I did some research, but not so. The opposition's position, stated plainly by our leader, is that it should be two instead of one. Well, that time has come for all decolonization. To free ourselves.
Why, I tell you, say, Isaac have throw some blow, you know. Diplomatically, I throw some blow. Delroy Chuck, feel it. Yo. Punch a fire.
Cells of the crown while keeping a British court as our court of last resort is to change the symbol and keep the substance. The government answers that final court is contentious, that it belongs in a later phase, and that the people should decide it by referendum. The Justice Minister has urged us, in effect, to get it done, to start with what is agreed and debate the court afterwards. Mr. Speaker, the opposition understands that argument, but we simply did not accept that. A nation should be asked to complete its independence in installments, deferring the most practical act of sovereignty, control of our own final justice, to a phase that may never come. Phase 2 is where good intentions go to wait. Madam Speaker, the manner has compounded the matter, because this very House passed an amendment under Section 96(1) and 121, an act to extend the tenure of the DPP and the Auditor General. And it gave no consultation to the very committee it created. Correct. It was Dr. Lloyd Barnett who had to ask for a special meeting to air it. And this is a matter of courtesy. So if the government will not extend the courtesy of consultation on an ordinary amendment, it had the votes to pass alone. How is this House and how are the people of Jamaica to trust its good faith on deeply entrenched questions it cannot pass alone? Well, Mr. Speaker, there is a new arithmetic of this parliament. We're enough over here. So your 2/3 majority cannot be done without us. Let that sink in. You have to deal with us as a matter of necessity. So that is why the opposition has insisted that this work resumes where serious constitutional work has always succeeded. Leader to leader at Vale Royal. And not delegate it as though were a routine department business left to the Minister of Justice to just deal with it and get on with it. The Constitution is much more important than that. On the issue of the final court, well, the opposition makes 2 points. First, this is not at its heart about the Privy Council versus the Caribbean Court of Justice as institutions. Both courts I have appeared in, Minister of Justice. Now, today the litigant who cannot afford London is in practice shut up.
Well, I said the man throw some blood clot blow up on Delroy truck. It's a shame. Because poor little Delroy truck, both him as Minister of Justice and rate. Where only that Jamaica, man. Remember, you know, Isaac Free Cartel, when all of them, Champagne and all of them, and Tom Tavares couldn't done it. Couldn't done it, you know. So you what, oh, me see this thing here. I don't know if this rascal man, come here, I think deep now, you know. Because where it really happen now, Isaac a grow and I get better and better. But you what now? You see if he go up against Andrew Wallace in a blood clot finish. So this will be a good move, you know. It'll be a good move. Mark Wallen, Wrestler, give him the rain. Yeah, man. Mark Wallen giving him blood clot rain. To be the leader. I'm thinking so well then him can do a lot of wrestler wonders. Yeah, man. I look like when they say history reveal. So I'm on a convicted. Come be the Prime Minister. Yeah. I have a history behind him, you know. I remember, you know, Nelson Mandela come run rascal South Africa from prison. So who knows? But this is one different scenario anyway. Yeah, different. Definitely different.
Out of his own final court, severing the appeal to the Privy Council and vesting final appellate jurisdiction in the Caribbean Court, a court substantially funded, staffed and led by the region. Is that act that brings the highest court within reach of the average citizen? And I will just say humbly, decolonization that does not reach the poor is decoration. I'm going to repeat for emphasis. Decolonization that does not reach the poor is decoration. Let that sink in. And the Privy Council has given guidance in the Independent Jamaica Council for Human Rights case. We can do it without bringing it to a referendum, but it takes courage. And we were all voted for and put into this house. We should exercise that courage, grow some cojones, and do what we're to do in this house. And, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, I am not picking on the Minister of Justice, but he did say no human rights problem, and the record answers the minister. Mr. Speaker, during the very debate, the Minister of Justice and Constitutional Affairs declared, answering my colleague, the opposition spokesperson on justice, that Jamaica does not, and I hope will never have a human rights problem. He went so far as to suggest that anyone who claims they need justice in Jamaica needs to have their head examined. I say this without relish. The minister who holds both justice and the Constitution in his charge ought to be the last in this house to pronounce a nation's rights beyond reproach. The claim does not survive contact with the evidence, and not the opposition's evidence, but the sober finding of independent and international monitors. Consider the most recent United States Department country report on human rights practice for Jamaica. They said 111 fatalities. They said that we don't have system in place. They said that the same period, the Independent Commission of Investigation received 709 complaints to go with the 111 fatalities in that particular year. Well, the same body reporting describes lockup meant to hold a person for 48 hours, holding them longer than that. And our prisons are outdated. So this is where I quote my dad, Manly Augustus Buchanan. You hearing me? No go on so Chucky, no go on so. Because you know that Chucky no lucky. Human rights must never be seen as an ostrich with his head in the sand. It is not a strategy, but rather screams danger. Chucky, you're looking lucky. But, Madam Speaker, the minister's entire answer to this catalogue was a single institution. Go, he said, to the Office of the Public Defender. Yet the minister knows, or ought to know, the limits of the very remedy he offers. Because by law, the office cannot appear in court. It may only retain attorneys to act for those it assists. And this parliament may lawfully disregard its findings and decline to act on its recommendation. A remedy that cannot enter the courtroom and whose conclusions the state may shelve at will is not proof that our rights are secure. It is a measure of how exposed they are. To direct the citizens to the door and declare the matter closed is to mistake the existence of a door for the safety of the house. Can't live in a door, Chucky. You're not lucky. Madam Speaker, this is precisely why the question belongs in debate. Mr. Speaker, the question belongs in debate on our Constitution. We cannot, in our breath, promise the people a new supreme law that strengthens the Charter of Fundamental Rights, and in the next deny those very rights are under strain in the lives they lead today. A republic worth the name is not founded on the declaration that the problem is solved. It is founded on the courage to name the problem and the will to meet it. That's right. Now, this comes, Mr. Speaker, this brings to what they call a hot topic, and I bring the heat. Hear this. If the minister doubts the rights require vigilance, let him weigh a matter that is entirely new to our national life. This month, the government signed a memorandum of understanding with the United States under which persons removed from American soil, so the third country nationals, neither Jamaican nor bound for Jamaica, are to be received here and held while they transit to a final destination. The Deputy Prime Minister has told the country that the agreement was approved by Cabinet and signed on the 10th of June, that the United States will pay for each migrant's initial stay, that as many as 25 persons may be received every fortnight, and that 6 of our Caribbean neighbors, Panama, Costa Rica, Belize, Antigua, St. Kitts, and Barbados, have entered into similar agreements. This is a profound step in the life of a small nation, and yet has not been brought to this House to be debated. The government points fairly to safeguards that Jamaica may refuse any individual and that either party may end the agreement at short notice, that there will be health screening, identity verification, criminal record checks, and clearance from the National Intelligence Bureau, and that no person with a criminal record will be accepted. Those assurances are welcome, and I do not disparage them. But an assurance is a promise, and this House exists to test promises against practice. Who reviews a refusal, and on what criteria? What becomes of a person whom we receive but cannot move on? The minister himself concedes that those who elect to remain must apply to our courts for asylum. And there lies the problem, Mr. Speaker. The difficulty begins right there. For the very international reporting the Justice Minister waved away describes a country with no clear procedure for the granting of asylum or refugee status and no consistent system to protect refugees. Each case in the government's own practice handled administratively one by one. We simply don't have a system in place and no legislation. Mr. Speaker, we need not imagine the test, for it arrived on our own shores this very week. On Monday, the 17 Haitian nationals, 10 men, 4 women and 3 children came ashore at Pasley Gardens in Port Antonio, in my constituency, and were taken into custody for health and immigration processing, their future, as I speak, uncertain. Here is the question the Republic must be able to answer. If we stand up screening, oversight, and accommodation funded from Washington for 25 persons transferred to us every fortnight, with what consistency, what due process, and what plain humanity do we meet the 3 children who reached Portland in a boat? What? A nation's character is revealed not in the agreement it signs in a comfortable room, but in how it treats the frightened stranger who arrived unannounced. This is why the matter belongs in this debate and not merely in a press briefing. Jamaica, I will submit that Jamaica has a human rights problem. Madam Speaker, Mr. Speaker, a generation that has never tested its institutions is watching to see whether constitutional reform will be cosmetic or genuine. If we are opening the Constitution, let us be brave enough to address what the people have repeatedly told the posters they want. We must think of human dignity, we must think of the right to life, we must think of freedom of expression. But most importantly, when this book is open and the Minister of Justice and Constitutional Affairs starts to do this, we must think of term limits. We must think of fixed dates for general elections, integrity and campaign finance reform, constitutional entrenchment of the Electoral Commission of Jamaica and the Office of the Public Defender, areas where the opposition believes consensus is genuinely in reach. A settled answer on the nature of the presidency, protection of the Charter of Fundamental Rights and Freedoms, ensuring that the new Constitution strengthens and never dilutes the rights our citizens already hold. Consideration of the rights of the Maroons under the 1738 Treaty. We must take that head on. And Mr. Speaker, much of this ground has already been walked, and the opposition does not begin from zero. The Reform Committee has deliberated the form of the presidency, distinguishing an executive president from a purely ceremonial one. And it has favored Jamaican rather than Commonwealth citizenship as the qualification to sit in our parliament, with a test of allegiance for those of dual citizenship. We start these conversations from consensus already built. The opposition asks only that the government have the nerve to carry that consensus the full distance, and the generosity to add to it the reforms the people themselves keep asking for. Madam Speaker, Mr. Speaker, every advance in our constitutional history has been bipartisan. Independence itself rested on the cooperation of Manley and Bustamante. The reforms of the 1990s carried the name of Patterson and Seaga. The Charter of Fundamental Rights and Freedoms in 2010, perhaps the final constitutional achievement of the modern era, was passed by a partnership between the Jamaica Labour Party, Prime Minister, and a People's National Party leader of opposition. Not one of these was the work of a single party in a single term. The Republic will be no different. It will be built by both sides, or it will not be built at all. And I would just say, our young people and the Constitution. And here, Madam Speaker, the two halves of my portfolio finally meet. The young Jamaican who cannot read at grade 4 will not read the Constitution we write. The unattached youth who believes the state has never protected him will not believe the Republic belongs to him. A new Constitution by us, of us, and for us is empty if a generation has been taught by experience that the state's promises are for other people. So let civic education be real and not tokenistic. Mr. Speaker, if we want our young people to claim the Republic as their own, the youth voice on the Constitution must shape the outcome and not merely decorate the process. And the National Public Education Campaign on the Road to Republic must reach the child in the classroom in Fair Prospect and Haile Selassie High School, as surely as it reaches the platform here in Gordon House. Give the young a constitution they helped to write in a country that has kept its promise to them, and they will defend it for the rest of their lives. Mr. Speaker, in closing, context matters. The government has asked the country to trust it with transformation. The opposition asks the country to demand something more rigorous than trust, to demand evidence. Are our children safer in school? Are they protected from abuse? Are they learning to read and to count? Are our young people working? And will the Constitution we hand them be the full inheritance of a free people, or half-finished decolonization that left the most practical sovereignty for another day? On youth, the opposition will hold this government to its own numbers and offer a better way. On the Constitution, we extend our hand once more. Meet us, leader to leader. Bring back the bill in a forum that completes the work, and let this Parliament, in which neither side can act alone, do together what neither side can do apart. Let us finish the unfinished circle of independence. May God grant this House the wisdom to discover what is right, the will to choose it, and the courage to see it through. I so submit. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I will say God on time. And to my friend, Minister of Justice, Chucky, you know lucky. Thank you. Thank you.
House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, let me thank the contributors from the opposition side. We had a sort of reserved and sober first presentation from the member from Western Westmoreland, and then we had a presentation from Eastern Portland
House Leader, just a reminder to those in the gallery, you are not in any way to disturb the proceeding. No clapping, no shouting, no banging.
We had a presentation from the member from Eastern Portland that did raise some points. However, at one time I wondered if he was the spokesperson on current affairs. With that said, I will say, for his first presentation in the House, we welcome his intervention. Mr. Speaker, we're going to continue in public business. I will take this opportunity to welcome the members from Eastern Portland. They were not here when I spoke earlier. And I'm very happy to see the students from Titchfield, which is among the best institutions in our country. A very, very good high school. Very good high school. We will now take the, and Big Youth. I definitely want to use the opportunity to welcome Big Youth and big him up for joining us in the House. I know the Prime Minister will be happy. I know the Prime Minister will be happy to see you here. We will continue in public business, so I suspend the debate, sectoral debate, until our next sitting, at which time we expect to have our final presentations. In the sectoral debate, we will have the presentation by Minister Grange. We will also have Dennis Daly, and we will have our closing presentation by Dr.
Yeah, people, anyway, that was like, you know, Isaac looked like the man to lead the party, you know, because at the end of the day, that brother is a winner, you know. He's a winner. And PMP, we see that pattern, you know, and make him take up the reign because he will deal with Andrew Wellness. And he's a winner. That's all me I say. And I want, because I can see really Damon Crawford kind of really a tremble, you know. To him I look upon him, you know, because I know say, well then, he's a new kid on the block this. He's a man in the making, because I'm just a show him colours. And when people follow the pattern, when he's a winner like that, that man get out Vice Cartel. The man win every case him win, you know. All this man would have blood from a prison for 50 years. Right? I him get it out, get him out and win how much million from the government, and the government don't want to pay him. All them things, a lot of people is brother, everything is a winner. He's a winner. And look like Mark, I don't know if I Mark a grooming for that, you know, because I don't know, but we don't like to see him be the leader. Yeah, man, we like to see him be the leader. Especially a reggae artist's son. Because I remember, you know, one time Rasta couldn't go in with them type of year in a parliament, you know. No Rasta then up on both sides. No problem. So, a man get convicted for certain things. Because Nelson Mandela got prison and come back and be a president. So, I don't know, but you know, that's how, I don't know, you know, I just like me I see something what I say, you know, it can't work, you know. Because winner is a winner. And if you don't follow a trend, because one thing for sure, I know Andrew Wallace can't manage him. And when a man know the law, you know, especially human rights, not them feels there. When a man can talk, because that man never really, me know it's a cartel go walk still, you know, but that people know, think so the cartel now go really come out the road, you know. But brother, the brother I want winner, yeah, man. And the PMP, if you put him up as a leader, yeah, man. And surely, that is what I'm supposed to do. Not Damon Crawford. Damon Crawford, to me, time cannot get still. You understand? He was potential during them time there. But, you know, it gets still now. And, you know, when a new kid come on the block, you have to admire that. That's how you do strategy. Just like how me I see it. Yeah, man. Just like how me I see it. But anyway, time will tell. Time will tell. But that's my money in a day, you know? For real. That's my money in a day. Anyway, people, out and running, out and going, out.
A big sound, I play a big tune.
Ja oli Emmanuel I boy. Ja Gideon, I'm a Gideon. The Gideon, I'm a Gideon. The Gideon, I'm a Gideon. Well, Gideon go busting out them head again. So much oppression poor people face right now. Them crying out for freedom. Them crying out for free speech. Then said them want to stand up like them black liberators, like Malcolm X and Martin Luther and the ancient monarchy will come pave the way, sir. Free up black people from me tear down them fence, yeah. Gideon, I'm a Gideon. The Gideon, I'm a Gideon. The Gideon, I'm a Gideon, well, the Gideon go busting out them head. I listen, I the power of the Trinity. Give us the teaching of His Majesty, and we know war, not devil philosophy. Not until level for man's skin is abnormal, significant well to the color of his eye. Remember all the war long in 1935.